It had to have flown over the Pentagon. So what I think happened is this, that a plane was on this trajectory. There it is. Right? And the missile was perfectly timed to come in under that plane so that this happened. So the plane coming in to Ronald Reagan International Airport flew over the Pentagon at exactly the same moment as the missile slammed into the Pentagon, thus creating the illusion to anybody who was more than probably a couple hundred yards away that a plane had gone into the Pentagon. I mean, consider, this is like what happens in films, isn't it? You know, the plane crash. You don't actually see the plane crash. You know, you see the plane coming down, it flies behind the sand dune, and you see a ball of flame. And your mind does the rest. Well, that, I think, is what occurred here. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. The coordination here was absolutely staggering. This is from USA Today, which I think was a couple of days later. You know, and this was, of course, the propaganda telling everybody what occurred. And you can see here that basically in this schematic, they're saying that, you know, the plane drilled this hole through three parts of the Pentagon. And I love this, don't you? FBI agents conducted evidence sweeps in this area and picked up debris. Yeah, we saw the debris they picked up. They found only small parts of the fuselage from the Boeing 757. The black boxes from Flight 77 may have been found in this area. You know, total conjecture. But it's great propaganda because that's what the gullible masses will believe. I'm going to share some extracts from a document, and I will ask if any of you recognize the extracts or the document when I come to the end of the presentation, because these are extremely telling. This is from the document. It says, an illusion, it will be so large, so vast, it will escape their perception. Those who will see of it will be thought of as insane. Now, some of you may be aware that there was a lady in northern New Zealand who was so incensed by 9/11, she did her own research, and she decided to do what many of us have done, which is to take her research out and share it with the wider public. So she was in Whangarei in New Zealand, I think that's how you pronounce it. And, how'd you say it? Whangarei, yeah, that'll work. And so she gave this presentation, she advertised that she was going to give a presentation on 9/11, and she was arrested and sectioned. And she spent 5 days in a mental institution because she questioned the official version of 9/11. Well, she got 5 days before she'd even managed to give a single presentation, so on that basis, I'm due about 4 years. Those who will see it will be thought of as insane. The truth will be hidden in their face, so close they will not be able to focus on it until it is too late. Oh yes, so grand the illusion of freedom will be that they will never know that they are our slaves. When all is in place, the reality we will have created for them will own them. This reality will be their prison. They will live in self-delusion. When our goal is accomplished, a new era of domination will begin. The domination is spreading. I mean, I'm just going to select some of the examples. Of course, you all know there's many more. Blair lied and misled the cabinet on the Iraq war. No shit. You know, there wasn't there 3 million people who hit the streets because they knew that right from the outset. But, you know, this guy was so brazen that, you know, he just said, you know, these people hit the streets. Look, they're all going to go home. You know, it's a Saturday. They all feel good because they've come down to London. They've had a great day out. But, you know, they're going to go home and they're going to go back to work on Monday. All I've got to do is get through the weekend. You know, we have to learn to make our presence felt in this country like they do in South Korea in particular. You know, when the South Korean government tried to import growth hormone-contaminated beef a few years ago, the people hit the streets of Seoul and refused to go home. And 3 days later, the number of people in Seoul had doubled. A few days later, it had trebled. And in the end, the South Korean government went back to the World Trade Organization and said, what do you expect us to do? You're crippling our country. And the people actually managed to prevent growth hormone-contaminated beef coming into South Korea. But this is how the people have to react to regain the power. Protesting, going down to London for a Saturday morning makes you feel good, but it's totally ineffectual. Claire Short, of course, at the end of the day, she protected her own skin. So it's all very well for her to say Blair misled us, then took the UK into an illegal war to its eternal shame. She knew it. And she was about to resign from the cabinet, but Blair managed to sweet-talk her with the promise of a cabinet position. If there was one real hero in this sequence of events, it was this guy. And he paid the price. We still don't know who it was up that mountain with him. Who made the phone call? Because that's where this guy should be. But as we know, anybody who really raises their head above the parapet and is deemed as a threat pays the ultimate price. And of course, at AV3, we had Norman Baker talking about Dr. David Kelly. This was brilliant. The guy is an actor. He's way better than Obama because he learns his scripts. Obama can't function without the autocue. This guy is good. He's very good. He fits the bill as described by Brian Gerrish on Saturday morning to an absolute T. And of course, not only did he use the opportunity to defend himself about invading Iraq, he used the opportunity to say, and next we need to go into Iran. This guy has basically committed every offense that we were hanging people for at Nuremberg. This is aggressive warfare. And I hope one day that this guy, I'm not suggesting for one moment he pays that kind of price, but he basically needs to see out the rest of his days incarcerated somewhere. And this is Quentin Letts, messianic yet mellifluous, Baron Bellicose, the war guy in a beautiful suit. Just because he's not wearing a Mao suit or an Arabic scarf on his head, we say, no, this guy wouldn't do that. There was a headline in the papers a few weeks ago, I think it was maybe in early February, and the headline was, Unleash Hell. And it was about the new attacks in the Helmand province. I thought, unleash hell, this is unbelievable. What if that was the other way around? What would the reaction be if it was put in the papers that the Afghani press or the Iraqi press had run, or the Palestinians had run a headline that said, unleash hell? So it's okay for us to do it, but not for them. Touch of duplicity here, I perceive. But, let's take another look at another quote from that document, because this is really quite interesting. We will make them kill each other when it suits us. We will keep them separated from the oneness by dogma and religion. We will control all aspects of their lives and tell them what to think and how. We will guide them kindly and gently, letting them think they are guiding themselves. We will foment animosity between them through our factions. And to gasps from the gallery, Blair said we should be proud of the war. And, by the way, we're ready to attack Iran because we've got the buggers surrounded. Ahmadinejad is regarded in Iran, by a lot of people as a hero, simply for keeping the US at bay. And I think I've mentioned before, once or twice, that, the axis of evil, the countries that are regarded as part of the axis of evil, all have one thing in common. They are all free of debt from the World Bank. You control the people by getting them in, as I was explaining to somebody earlier today. Do you know what the translation of mortgage is? Death grip. Death grip. That's how you control the people, by debt. Everything that's occurred in the last few years has been about, the last 12 years, has been about getting people into debt. And this is about getting countries into debt. Look at what happened to Dubai. Yeah? That was orchestrated. A few years ago, Sheikh Mohammed Al Maktoum looked as though he had a really good game plan until he was persuaded to get involved in bullshit projects like building islands off the coast and making it look like a map of the world and a palm tree.